I was fortunate enough to meet Terry Pratchett 3 times before he died. Well, I say fortunate, but the first 2 encounters when I was a student journalist weren't particularly easy. He didn't have a lot of patience with journalist students or otherwise, possibly because he'd worked in journalism himself and didn't retain a very high opinion of it. The first time we met, he answered one question, and even that was a bit reluctantly. The second time, he didn't even bother to answer my question, unless that's for clever buggers like you to figure out counted as a reply, which I don't think it did. But the third time we met, over dinner in Dublin in 2005, just the 2 of us, was a happier, friendly occasion. Although rather touchingly, he was most enthusiastic when speaking about his work as a trustee of the Orangutan Foundation, rather than when forced to talk about his own books. But what a series of books the Discworld sequence is. Set on a flat world that floats through space on the backs of 4 elephants, who themselves stand on the shell of a giant tortoise. And what a world the Discworld is into which to escape, populated by vampires, werewolves, trolls, demons, dragons and more, alongside various human witches, wizards, dwarfs, city watchmen, assassins and sellers of fried rats on sticks. While shadowing them all is the figure of Death himself, who rides a white horse named Binky, and is perhaps the most sympathetic and engaging character in the books, which is no small achievement in a series that's filled with them. But what's most interesting about the Discworld is that for all its strange inhabitants, it's just a version of our world with a different shape and name. Various books in the series examine in their subtle, subversive way organised religion, feminism and the rights of minorities, but also the birth of cinema, the creation of a postal service and the power of popular music. Foolish people might dismiss them out of hand because they're fantasy novels, equating fantasy with an absence of truth, but they'd be wrong. Just as they'd be wrong to regard Pratchett as not being serious because he's so funny, when in fact funny writers are often being very serious indeed. But at the heart of Pratchett's work is, I think, a very simple message that's easier to understand than it is to live by. We are all essentially the same, whether we look human or other than human, or, as in the case of the Night Watch's Corporal Nobby Nobbs, something in between that's probably mostly human, but so grubby that it's hard to tell for sure. We all fall in love, we start families, suffer illness and loss, grieve, and try to muddle on with things when life gets hard. And it's a good idea to keep that in mind when you're dealing with other people, or indeed trolls, dwarves and vampires. Well, maybe not vampires. There are 41 novels in the series written over more than 30 years, and a new reader can start anywhere. But I'd suggest perhaps Mort, which deals with the adventures of Death's young apprentice, Weird Sisters, the first of the delightful witches books, or Guards, which introduces us to the members of the Night Watch. Where you begin, though, isn't really important. Beginning is the thing. These are novels that you can return to over and over, because as soon as you finish the whole series, you'll have forgotten the plots and jokes in the earlier ones, and can start almost afresh. Almost. Because only the characters will be familiar to you, waiting to be greeted like old friends.